We'll call this meeting of the Silver City Town Council to order. Please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And our mission statement is, the Silver City is the hub of an inclusive community settled within a small town that through guided growth honors and preserves its historical, cultural, and natural heritage while facilitating jobs, health, and education resources such that the residents and visitors may enjoy and protect the recreational opportunities of the area and high quality of life. And the first thing on the agenda with action is public input. I remind you, you have 5 minutes to speak on your topic, and if you're looking at me, I'll give you a minute warning. And the first person is Bill Carlos, references solar carport.
Thank you very much. I'm a well-done businessman in Silver City in the solar energy business. I got a hold of this project from articles in the Sun News. There was some erroneous information, and I believe I've sent all of you my quote guest editorial that explains why I was against it from an economic and practical point of view. I dropped it because I couldn't stop it. Now I've gotten involved with the construction phase. I know a lot about concrete. I've done a fair amount of concrete. In the old days, I've designed, I think, approximately 20 solar homes. I was involved with the construction. Many times these were for engineer types, retired here from Los Alamos, Sandia, White Sands. What was done down there and documented by John Crow, the first round, was horrendous, that concrete work. It was destroyed and removed. The anchor bolts, what appeared to be anchor bolts, were these things, 6-inch. This is actual stuff. I photographed them. Everybody will tell you this is crazy to try to use as an anchor bolt on a commercial job. An anchor bolt has a bend in it. If you tried to buy a 3/4 anchor bolt like this, they don't come any shorter than 8 inches. You usually embed them. Residential work required you to bed anchors 7 inches. These things were stuck 4 inches. They were not in vicinity of any reinforcement. They were too close to the edge of the concrete. If this thing had been built with these, I have no doubt, and many other people that have looked at this have no doubt, that this thing would have flown. You got people walking right then and there. They used regular old all-thread. All-thread is, what you can buy at our hardware stores. It comes like this. It comes in lengths. It's not graded. It doesn't have a PSI rating. Anchor bolts for commercial work require PSI ratings. They're actually stamped or marked so that so the inspector knows what's being done. I'm suggesting that the tolerances, when you went and looked at how bad they missed everything, the standard ACI, American Concrete Institute's tolerances are that the columns have to come down in the middle of those squares within 2%. On a 3-foot wide column, on a 3-foot wide footing, that's 3/4 of an inch. Go down there and look, 4 inches, 5 inches, 6 inches. It's condemnable from eccentricity on the load-bearing zones. The layout of everything is plus or minus accepted within 1 inch over that building. You have 4, 5, 6 to 12 inches depending on where you start measuring. So it's rejectable on the grounds that they didn't even come close. The fact that they use these, you can call it what you want. You can go to court. It's strange. The attempted fix is hilarious. Gluing in rebars off-center. Glue's fine for gluing things down on an existing slab in a mine or something like that. You don't start from scratch with things glued in. And everything I find out about it is there's not enough of the rebar glued in, even if it were allowed. At least 12 inches of all rebar has to be embedded in concrete, no matter how small it is. Bigger rebar can require up to 30 or 40 inches that be embedded in. You only have 12-inch footings down there. I just think this is silly that we're allowing them to do this and to come up with a jury rig to cover faulty construction. There's no doubt whoever did the first work down there hadn't a clue. I suspect the high school shop would have done 5 times better than what was attempted down there. I mean, really, it was that poor. So I'm recommending that you reconsider what's going on, take a second opinion. I've given Councilman Jamie, I found today that we have a retired professor of civil engineering from NMSU, still has his active stamp, is willing to talk to you all off the record and tell you what he thinks of what's going on. Jamie has his phone number. Please call him. And my suggested cure is that you go back to the original specs, make those squares that they've got, take them out, make them a little bigger so that now the columns come down in the middle of them. Make them 18 inches thick. Nobody can understand why they're only 12 inches thick. Any home you build around here has to be 18 inches deep on the footing. We don't understand a 12-inch. Make them 18, make them the right size, bolt them down, use real anchor bolts that are 18 inches deep. And I want to announce that if we need a second opinion and it costs money, I got $100 right here. I will start a fund. I challenge you all to contribute $100. Everybody in here, we can come up with at least $1,000 using the subs and us if we have to bring in an outside person to get a second opinion, because I think it's this important. Concrete failure is usually catastrophic. There's no bending, there's no warning. We get a bad wind, this thing is gone. So far, all I've seen is 50 miles an hour is what was mentioned on the website. It's supposed to be designed for 90. If you're intelligent, you go over 90. Everybody knows this, that you design these things for 90. So I don't know. I didn't look at the plans and specs. I think you guys need to verify what's being done, find out what's called out for anchor bolts, and I can create a list that I get to you later than today of questions you need to be asking if you don't take my advice.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
No. The next person is Josh White, reference vandalism.
Good evening. I live in the historic downtown district. I work in the historic downtown district. I have a young family. I have a 2- and a 4-year-old, and my wife and I take our children to the parks really on a daily basis. And I find the vandalism that I see in this community to just be really, really depressing. It makes it difficult to want to pursue a life here and raising a family here. Penny Park has been burnt down. My local park on Spring Street is vandalized regularly. Our calls and reports are usually not acted upon unless we call with anger in our voices and threats. What I propose is that the city make it a priority to try to do whatever is possible across all fields to help slow this down, to help curb it. Teachers can be educating on civics, civic pride in our schools. The Parks Department, and I know these guys work hard and they've got a lot on their plates, but there's somebody at Spring Street Park every single morning watering that grass, and the vandalism stays there even after it's reported for not days but weeks. And I feel like we can do better than that. We can take more pride in our jobs and in our community than that. And I don't think that these are things that require a lot of money. It doesn't have to be budgeted to be there and to do something about it. But I think that there has to be leadership from the top, from the town council, city manager, the head of the Parks Department, police chief, our teachers, everyone. It's going to take the entire community to help to curb this. But I've been reading in the paper these reports of vandalism spike at the end of the school year. It's that's documented, and they're on the rise. And I don't know if I'm disproportionately affected by this or if everyone in our community can see this, but everywhere I look, I'm seeing instances of this, and it's really, really sad. And I hope you guys can take this to heart and make it a meaningful priority for our town. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Faye McCalmont.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council and the staff, I'm here to thank the town and the Parks Department in particular and the Police Department for the fantastic job they did on helping us with the Blues Festival in particular. And I want to call out in particular Peter Pena from the Parks Department and Chris Marufo and Hank and his crew. They just worked tirelessly from the beginning of that holiday weekend until the end to help us make that event successful. And I don't think that the town may realize how much the town puts into these events. And so I just wanted to mention some of the things that they do for us. Of course, they make the golf park look absolutely beautiful. They trim everything up. They put in a brand-new picnic area. At considerable expense, they expanded the electrical capacity for our vendors. Hank and his crew were on site from beginning to end to help with the trash and any kind of problems that we had. I had his cell phone number, and I was able to call him, and he was Johnny on the spot. He was helping us with all kinds of things, including the problem with dogs in the park and everything else. I mean, really, I just want to commend him and thank them for everything that they did. The police department puts up all the barriers, closes the streets, they provide security. It's just a huge effort. There's some funding that happens. They help us with some of our expenses. And I've been trying to get here ever since the Blues Festival to just say how much it just means to all of us. And I think that it's that kind of support from the town that helps make those events successful. I also want to say that I do understand all the things that Josh was just saying about, in particular, the vandalism at Spring Street Park was really horrendous. It was awful, and it was embarrassing to know that it had been up for that long. But on the other hand, I do want to say that the Parks Department has given the Arts Council, who runs the mural program, just tremendous support over the years. And with 34 murals in town, we've only had 2 that have been vandalized, and one that in Ibarra Park that had spray paint on it, and this one which was terrible, obscene drawings all over it. And as soon as we found out about it, we were able to take care of it, and we now have a process in place with the Parks Department. They're going to call us whenever a mural is vandalized, and we will take care of cleaning it up and repairing it. We're also going to be talking to the JPPO people about establishing an anti-graffiti group and maybe taking some of these offenders and using them to help us take care of that graffiti. And so I just wanted to give them kudos for that and for everything that you all do to support events and programs in the community. Thank you.
Thanks, Faye.
Is this wrong?
Yeah, we could hear you really well, Roger. Next is Azima Leela Forrest. Was that better?
Mr. Mayor, council members, staff. Silver City has been besieged recently with fires, some of them arson, increased gang activity, vandalism, and the use and dealing of hard drugs downtown, and other distressing activity from the shadows of our community. As law enforcement vigilance ramps up in response, for which we are very grateful, some of us have had the inspiration to bring to bear another energy to this situation, a spiritual one. Starting this Friday, July 15th, we will undertake a 22-day vigil for the purification, protection, blessing, and healing of Silver City and its residents. We invite everyone, including you, Mr. Mayor and council members, to focus for a few moments at dawn and dusk with whatever form of prayer, meditation, chanting, affirmation, etc. works for you. Some of us will be gathering each morning at 6 a.m. and each evening at 8 p.m. at various places around town, beginning and ending with La Capilla. Our locations will include most of the parks, including Penny Park and the Big Ditch Park and the Spring Street Park, as well as other places where dark energies tend to gather, or that are emblematic of our community lives, such as Goth Park. Flyers with details of the mantra we will be chanting, as well as the locations for each day, are available at Javelina, Leba and Ingalls Arts, the Food Co-op, Alada Gelato, and Bear Creek Herbs. Letters and emails have been sent to various churches and spiritual groups inviting their participation in whatever ways fit with their own spiritual practices. I will be a guest on the morning show on Cats this Friday morning, talking more about this event. We invite everyone in Silver City to participate, each in his or her own way, at home, at their place of worship, or moving around town with us chanters. May this period of 22 days purify and uplift the atmosphere of our beloved Silver City.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is council comments. Councilor Bettison, would you like to start?
Thank you, Mayor. I want to...
That day and time and place, we can't hear back here.
The flyers are those places I mentioned.
Right? And the meeting is right.
It's not any meeting, it's every day, dawn and dusk, and there's a whole list of places. You need to get the flyer.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank all of the residents who follow the restrictions in place and heeded the concerns of their neighbors and their friends and their families and public officials, and by refraining from lighting fireworks over the 4th of July weekend. I think Silver City really pulled together and really considered how a fire of nature that would come through one of our neighborhoods, how much that would really, really hurt us. So I thank you for a safe holiday. I really do. I also want to just say that when I saw the Penny Park fire, I was really stunned by the damage, and likewise upset when I learned later on that weekend about the Spring Street Park, the defacing of the mural there, which I have to say was extremely hard to see unless you were really looking for it, because a very fine pen was used, and it was quite disgusting. I would ask that, along with what Azima Leela Forrest and others have said, that you direct your energies also, if you have a community neighborhood watch program and you have a park, that you embrace that park and watch and help the Silver City Police Department with letting them know what's going on in the area, and then of course also letting our Parks Department know about any concerns or issues you might have. You can do that easily on our website. And I really, if you don't have a park in your neighborhood, I want you to hopefully embrace all of our parks and our recreation facilities, and just, if you see something that just doesn't seem like it should be happening there and it just seems quite untoward to you, please do call. Please make that effort. And please stand up for those places. Without your help, we can't stand up and make sure that those areas are safe, that those areas are left untouched. It really does, as Azima said, it does fall to each and every one of us to really make sure that those parks are wonderful places for our children and for us. I wanted to mention, if you hadn't heard already, that the reverse 911 system, as it's been called, Delt Alert, was chosen, and it is on the town's website for registering. I've already done it. It's on the left-hand side, and it says help in sort of a telephone that's big and red. And you can put your cell phone number in there, you can do your home phone number in there, you can do an email address. And I encourage everyone to do that, because Los Alamos, the evacuation of Los Alamos because of the fire up north, was successfully completed because of the use of a reverse 911 system. There were no issues, and everybody was able to leave fairly orderly. And the last thing I wanted to mention is that I did attend the groundbreaking for Vistas de Plata, which is the town's affordable housing project. And it's the first time I had actually been on the site, and I was very impressed with the view up there. It's absolutely gorgeous, and I look forward to having some affordable housing for our professors, our nurses, and our doctors, and our teachers. So that's it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilor Thompson.
Thank you. Yeah, I was really happy to hear Faye McCalmont say that they're working with the Juvenile Probation and Parole Office with taking care of this vandalism. Josh actually worked with me when we did the bicycle program years ago, and we did the same sort of thing where we took kids that had been involved. They entered the system because of truancy issues, and they were given 30 hours of community service. And the idea is to have these kids interact with adults that were engaged in other activities, and it was a lot of fun, and it really makes me think that we can fix the problem of vandalism fairly easily. Well, no, it's not going to be easy. It has to be a comprehensive approach, just like Josh said. I think we can do it, but it's got to be comprehensive, and it has to be intelligent. And I think we should probably be discussing how we're going to do that. That's it.
Thank you. Councilor Ray.
Thank you, Mayor. On the brighter side of things, I would like to give thanks to the Parks and Recreation Department. They did a very good job on Spring Street, Mr. Brown. The people called me, they said to tell you guys thank you. Also, I'd like to give special thanks to Mr. Peter Pena and his crew. I saw him the other day picking up cigarette butts downtown, and that's something that's not seen very often. So thanks to those people from the Streets Department. I would like to see if it is possible to reconsider the sale of garbage bags like they did years ago to the public.
We get requests for that all the time. So what we can do is we can put together a bid like we used to, and then it would be up to the council to reject or accept any bids, if that's okay.
Thank you. And also, I was asked today if there's a possibility of utilizing that rollaway bridge that was there on the corner of Yankee and Bullard, right there by the jewelry shop that used to be there.
The what?
It was a rollaway.
It was a bridge that would swing out when the water was running, so they could cross north, and it was
I
there.
have no idea. I can work with Peter on that.
It was damaged, so we took it out.
Oh, it was damaged, so we took it out. So we can look at that and see if there's something that we can do to work on that for the future.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Morones.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. I was pleased with the actual 4th of July and the fact that I heard very few fireworks, and I know that there were some, and enforcement dealt with that, but it was much more mild, and I think we had a lot more compliance than historically speaking, so I was really pleased with that. That pleasure was, very short in comparison to the recent fire at Penny Park and such. So, I feel good about that actual day, but the week prior was pretty hard. And reiterating what a lot of people said, we do need to look at a lot of these issues that we're facing, from whether it's our support up here and motivation to do certain things, but also for the town to continue to work for solutions. I'm really pleased with the input we had. We had people showing that they don't have apathy, they don't have fear to speak. They're also coming up with solutions. They're trying to partner with people, and this is really reassuring. And I hope we can continue that from the citizens and everybody don't be afraid to tell us what's wrong so that we can work towards improvement. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilor Bedison.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to thank the Silver City Fire Department and the Silver City Police Department for their work during the Penny Park fire. I know that it really hit all of those individuals really hard because they had also been the ones that answered the fire several years ago. And I just really appreciate everything they did to save those businesses, those residences, and the investigation that I know that the Silver City Police Department is doing. There is no apathy about that in our town in terms of what our staff are doing. They are doing everything they can to curb this and to find out who the folks are and that may have started it, and also to rebuild that park. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows that our staff feel the same way that all of you do, and thank the fire department and the police department because they did a great job, I think, and do all the time. Sorry, get emotional.
Thank you. Once again, I don't want to repeat what Councilor Morones and Bedison just said, but through adversarial issues and tragedies that people encounter, bright lights do come forward and shine. And I think, from Josh taking the time to come up here and express his concerns to Azima and several others that are out making efforts to improve the town, and we're always identifying people that love this town and truly want to take care of it. And it absolutely doesn't hurt to let these criminals that are out terrorizing the town know that they're hurting people and that it does hurt. And it hurts our spirit. It costs money. It costs people's time. And it's not just some senseless act that they can do to express their youth. So it's always interesting to watch the stars that come forward and truly shine on the town when we do have troubling times. Another issue, I met with Game and Fish today, and many of you know if you live in Silver City, you're probably going to see deer almost daily. And the troubling thing to me is, one is we're feeding them. There's people in town that feed deer purposefully. They love my rose bush in front of my house, which is inadvertent feed, but they clean it off. The really troubling thing was when they gave me the number of deer that are killed in this community in a year, and on an average they get one call a day for a deer that's been killed by a vehicle. And that's Silver City, the greater Silver City area. That's some in the county as well. That's really troubling, and it's not healthy for the deer. It's not healthy, obviously, for the citizens and that are having to suffer the damage to their vehicles. I'm still not going to support a hunt in town of any kind. However, we discussed some issues, and they're going to take some of my comments back to their biologist and try to come up with some better plans to alleviate the stress on the deer that drives them into the town. The town is not their natural habitat as it's built, and it's not the most comfortable environment for them to be in. So they've got to work on creating a more balanced population that fits in the environment where they're comfortable. The other issue is, what do we do with the greater than 300 deer a year? And we are working on a plan so that you have an avenue of getting it removed from your property and in a timely manner and not disrupting your entire neighborhood. And I actually met our game warden on the 4th that's covering our area, and he didn't realize I was the mayor when we met. But we had some interesting discussions, and then we followed up today with a meeting. And we're going to work as a partner and try to help out both the living and the dead deer issue, and look forward to working with them on that. And I may consider, I will speak with Mr. Scavron, and I'm sure he'll use his resources to see if we want to come up with an ordinance about feeding deer in town. And the biggest concern that I have on that, and it was expressed to me today, is where the deer go, so do the predators. And there's been mountain lions spotted on 32nd Street bypass. There's been mountain lions spotted behind the hospital, on the north side of the hospital. There's one out on 180 West up behind the university. Well, they're only coming here because there's food here, and by us encouraging that food is creating a nuisance population, and it needs to be addressed. So we will work with Game and Fish and try to come up with a plan. Good. And anybody else need a comment? We will move on to any changes to the agenda. Hearing none. Next item is approval of minutes of the regular meeting of the Town Council, June 28th, 2011. Councilor Bessie.
I move that we approve the minutes of the regular Town Council meeting of June 28th, 2011.
Is there a second?
Mr. Mayor, I second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of June 28, 2011. Any discussion? There's a motion and a second. No further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The reports.
Mayor and Council, just a little bit on Penny Park at the cleanup. I met with the adjuster on Friday evening, and the process is going to go a lot faster with the insurance because the last time we dealt with the issue, they had never dealt with a situation as where it was completely built by volunteers, and there wasn't an inventory of what it was built and what it costs or whatever. But now that we did get some bids on the previous area that we were going to or might rebuild, they have a lot better idea of rebuilding costs. So we'll get some numbers and things fairly quickly. Based on situations that we dealt with in the past, as soon as a few days or the day after the fire, we started taking soil samples for the arsenic so that we could identify exactly how much of the soil needs to be taken up. The adjuster told me as soon as the site was released by the police from the investigation, we could start cleaning up. Well, they've released it, so basically the only thing that we're going to wait for right now is for the soil samples to see exactly how much of the soil we need to take up and replace. And so hopefully by next week we can take down what's there, the fire. We're going to start providing you with alternatives for rebuilding as soon as we start getting some numbers. So that's where we're at with that. I've been talking to all of you, actually, about working on a bond issue to issue bonds to upgrade our recreational facilities. And that process should start at our next council meeting. That would begin with the process of being able to fund the bonds. and that would be through rededication of one of our current increments of 1/8 of our gross receipts taxes, so it's not a tax increase, only rededicating it so that we could pay off the bonds if we do issue bonds. A list has been generated, and that will start, that process and everything will be started at our next council meeting so that the council will get a full education on the entire process, what projects we're looking at doing as well. So basically that's all I have, but I know the department has to have some other things too.
Mr. Russell?
Mr. Mayor, Council, the city manager just asked if I would report on the progress of negotiations with the border area mental health project that involves the acquisition of the stream right-of-way, or the stream itself, an acquisition by the town of the stream to make room for trail corridors that would connect the downtown with the rest of the trail system south of the 90 Bridge. The border area has been presented with a proposal and an appraisal. They've scheduled a presentation before their board on August 10th. We contacted them yesterday just to see if they had everything they needed, and we were told that yes, they had everything they needed. In addition, if there are any questions about that, I'd be happy to respond. Also, Nick Cicillo with the Sustainability Office wants to make a report on the status of the solar carport.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. Mr. Mayor, councilors, the town manager asked me today to make a report regarding the status of the solar carport construction at the north end of the visitor center. I've just provided a copy to Ms. Mackey for the record, and I'd like to read that in, although I may ad-lib if you'll allow me as I go further. Sorry? Please. The project has been under construction for 1 month. It is funded under New Mexico's Energy Efficiency and Conservation Block Grant, and again is being installed at the north end of the visitor center. It will contain spaces for 5 compact cars and a space for bicycles and scooters. It's important in that it's the forerunner of larger projects to come. The project has stamped structural plans by Casperson Engineering, the engineer of record, and has passed both initial state CID inspections for structural by Inspector Tom Maisi on July 5th and electrical earlier in June by Inspector George Baldonado. Our construction team is composed of Affordable Solar, the same contractor that was part of the awardee team for the large-scale solar for wastewater treatment. They are the general contractor and the solar system procurer. As the general contractor, they have also hired, at our encouragement, the majority of the labor through local contractors, including Custom Steelworks for the structural framing, Mastercraft for the metal roof, and Once Electric for the solar panel installation, inverters, and related electrical work. Mike Sauer of my office is the project manager, and we have contracted with Engineers, Inc. and Gary Berg, professional engineer, to do third-party construction oversight and advise us on what they observe at the site, and they have done that. At my request, David Farley of our department, who's the town's inspector, but who is not an inspector on this job because it's a state inspection responsibility, at my request to Mr. Russell, David has advised us on inspection and design aspects of the project, so we could simply benefit from the use of his experience. During the last month, the construction team has encountered and addressed problems resulting from a state-mandated acceleration of this capital project and from quality control issues. Those were essentially generated again by the acceleration of the date, which forced us to compress schedule. And when that was done, as well as shortening the carport, and I'm ad-libbing now, to get the carport edge further away from the driveway off of 90 to further protect it, because we thought it might be a little bit too close. That caused a slight delay, but enough that Affordable Solar, being very busy and growing, had to reschedule their assembly team. They were themselves to come down on site. They hired a local contractor to do the initial work. That did not work out well. As a result, the observations that were made earlier by the gentleman earlier reporting for public input were observed by us as well. As a matter of fact, I remember specifically telling our project manager, noting the obvious closeness of the mounting bolts to the edge of the concrete piers. I said, Michael, I could kick that over with my foot. And I had the same soft-soled leather shoes on at the time. It was clearly not a properly installed set of piers. Further discussion with the construction supervisor from Affordable Solar, who came back down, resulted in a decision on our part that the piers were to come down. We decided, with engineering input from both Engineers Inc. and from Casperson Engineering, that the pedestals, or basically the foundation footers, were fine, and that we would proceed with new pedestals, which would now reflect the design at the arch. So that is how we are proceeding. As all construction projects have their share of problems, the important thing is to identify those, keep team coordination going, and to resolve those problems. And we feel we have done that. Just recently, at the request or the observation of the engineer of record, Jason Casperson, that one of the 6 footers was not poured to the exact length or width to spec, we have requested that Affordable Solar replace that footer, and that will be done. So, to complete, we have a series of next steps. After the installation of the pedestals, we will be doing assembly of the steel framing, installation of the metal roof and racking on which the solar panels and inverters will be installed. Then final inspections and initial operation, a dedication ceremony, and ongoing operations. We feel we have dealt with issues that have come up. We have been diligent about that. We have resolved it, and we are moving forward. At my request, Affordable Solar did not replace the local contractor with another local contractor as their general contractor representative. I have asked them to come down and finish the job directly, as they've overcome the reassignment delay that they had with the other team. That is being done, and I am confident now that with the team fully in place, with the general contractor now on site for the work, that we will have a quality project. And I'd open it for any questions.
We discussed the permit display issue that we discussed earlier.
Yes, thank you. The permit apparently wasn't signed at the time of the inspections, first by Inspector Baldonado, but was signed on a separate copy The same with Inspector Maisi for the structural. Those copies will be made available and posted at the site, so they provide access for all.
Is it in your belief that we have followed all design standards, rules, regulations, financial obligations, audit requirements for this project?
Yes. Our concern has been, as others have observed here, has been the structural work. Again, we have a professional engineer who has provided stamp plans. We have an inspection sign-off on that. We have a professional engineer who is overlooking that work, who has provided independent information to us, and I believe we are following all local, state, and federal requirements.
Mayor, as to the financial auditing and the procurement issues, because of the state's mandate, originally the deadline for spending the funds was April 2012. They moved that up to June 30th of this year. So we were put in a situation where we were originally going to go out to bid for this project, but because of the squeeze in time, we ended up going with state contract. The contractor who we hired was under a state contract which we could piggyback off of, and all those procurement issues have been addressed by the state contract, so there are no procurement issues. The bid was approved by Energy Natural Resources, so all of those have been approved.
Thank you. Just so everybody knows, my stand on the project and my ability to review the project is significantly lacking. One is it's not the role of the mayor to review the technical aspects of a project. Two is I built a doghouse one time. We almost had to use the jaws of life to get the dog out of it on a breezy day. Talking to me about anchor bolts and stuff, it's just not real beneficial to the success of the project. I really hope if people have concerns that they'll address the engineers and the technical people that have that information. I am more than happy to relay questions, of which I did today, generating the permit change in display. But as far as the technical stuff, all I can do is relay inquiries. But I truly hope that our staff is more than willing to have frank discussions with people on any questions that they have on compliance.
And I'd like to reinforce that. If anybody has any lingering concerns, they're more than welcome to visit our office, and we'll sit down and share the information. And one remaining matter, and it is important, the issue the gentleman had raised earlier about 50-mile-an-hour winds versus 90-mile-an-hour winds. Stamp drawings do show 90-mile-an-hour winds, and both Jason Casperson and Gary Berg of Engineers, Inc. have performed the calculations and have assured us that the depth of the concrete of the footings and the design that's been done more than meet the 90-mile-an-hour three-burst requirement.
Any questions? Councilor Bettis.
I just want to reiterate what the mayor said, to talk to me about the different bolts, which I've now forgotten all their names. It's not going to, I mean, I can only relay questions, to staff as well. So thank you for offering the individual that came here, the information that you had, and it has been addressed, that it does say 90-mile-an-hour winds, as it should. And I also want to thank you for the offer to meet with people that have concerns. I think that's really important, Nick, because that way it's open and transparent. And if people want to speak with you and Mike together and go through things, I think that that's a great way to do business.
I think it's especially important given what we have coming up. While this is a small system with 32 panels, we have a system that should begin construction before the end of the year with 5,000 panels. And so while this has not been a comfortable situation for us in terms of what we've encountered here, it gives us a heads up in terms of the full set of dynamics that are in play here, and so we will provide extra diligence. And it'll be a little bit different too. It'll be a lot different because while we're the owner here of the solar carport, we will not be the owner of the large-scale facility. That basically is Solar Power Partners, who has the investor group and the financing. And Affordable Solar will basically be the EPC, which is essentially the engineer, the procurer, and the constructor, with a lot of local labor. Given the fact that we are on the verge of saving the town over $2 million conservatively over the next 20 years on that project, it's real important that we come together, and if there are issues, that we address them up front. I really do not think, that respectfully submitted, that this is the right place to raise and try and resolve those issues. Our door is open, given what we're about to come upon, and so I'd request those that have concerns, if we try and do it together rather than through media and the council, I think that would certainly be more effective overall. And then, if there's an issue, they can come to you and say, hey, we weren't treated fairly, or we didn't get the right information. But, we do our best to go forward. So if we don't go forward together, it's not going to work well. So thank you for your comment.
Comments? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Mr. Escada, anything? Mr. Pena?
Mayor and Council, thank you very much for having us come up and talk about this today. My name is Mike Sauber. I'm the project manager of this project, and Nick covered everything pretty well there. The only thing that didn't cover that might still be a question in everyone's minds, as far as drilling holes in concrete and epoxying rebar into that, that's pretty common practice nowadays, and even preferred sometimes to using rebar, trying to get rebar situated in wet concrete, according to both of the engineers involved right now. And I did specifically watch each of the holes being drilled to the right depth, cleaned very thoroughly, and epoxied, and rebar put in. And I have utmost confidence in both of our engineers that designed and are overseeing this project for us. So I feel very comfortable going forward, and I'm very happy to be a part of this project. I'm excited to see solar coming to Silver City, and this is the first step in a lot of good things to come. Thank you. And if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them as well. Thank you.
Was he here?
Yes,
Yeah.
he's right there.
Chief, you're hiding behind the podium.
Mayor, City Council, thank you for your compliments on not only us but the fire department as well on the fire. The Penny Park investigation is continuing. The department's working hard at trying to resolve this. We have some people of interest that we're looking at on this case, and hopefully at some point in the near future we resolve this case. Additional information, we put together an impact team and put it in the downtown area this weekend to kind of blunt some of the issues that were happening in the downtown area. Can you guys hear me? It was a pretty successful operation on Friday. The activity in the downtown area Saturday night almost dropped completely off. We had approximately 10 arrests in the downtown area, ranging from possession of drug paraphernalia warrants, possession of controlled substance, and drinking in public. Additionally, there was about 30 citations for both days issued in the downtown area. Some of those were for noise violations and trying to impact that as well. We're going to continue doing these operations throughout the rest of the summer. The targets will rotate. We may be back in the downtown area, but we're not going to advertise, obviously, where we're going to be. The comment about the public being involved, we need the public to be involved. Call us with information. If they see any issues, they need to report it. Crime Stoppers has picked up and is starting to be successful again on that. So people are calling you. That portion is working. Any questions?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. You have the floor.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we have a short break.
Is there a second? I second. There's a motion and a second for a short break. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We're in recess. We'll call this meeting of the Town Council back to order. And the next item on the agenda is a public hearing, approval, disapproval of resolution number 2011-23, a request for an encroachment permit for a covered porch that encroaches into the Gila Street right-of-way. The property is described as lots 1 and 3, block 10 of the Fraser Addition, and is addressed as 202 Gila Street. The applicant is Mario Quintana. The Town Council will serve as the hearing board, and I, as mayor, will be the presiding officer. Have any members of this hearing board had ex parte discussion with any person regarding the subject matter of this hearing, or had any communication from any party to this case?
No.
No, sir.
No, sir.
You're all qualified. Will all parties and witnesses intending to testify, including those staff members who intend to present testimony or who will be available for questioning, please rise, come to the podium to be sworn in by the town clerk. If you have not been sworn, you will not be permitted to testify or otherwise participate in this hearing.
I, Peter Russell,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony I'm about to give in the matter before this council is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, under penalty of perjury.
The hearing will be conducted as follows. The town staff shall present a brief synopsis of the application based on the application or actions taken by the director, by P&Z Commission, or by town staff. Then the applicant shall present their case. Next will come witnesses in support of the applicant's case. The applicant, staff, or witnesses may then be questioned by the hearing board. The presiding officer will then ask the applicant if that concludes its case in chief and states that the proponent and its witnesses will remain available to be further questioned by the hearing board, by staff, or by opponents to the application. Following the close of the applicant's case, witnesses in opposition to the applicant's case shall be permitted to testify, during the course of which the witness may address questions to any previous witness, but such questions shall be made through the presiding officer. The presiding officer shall have the sole discretion in directing the question for response, considering whether the question is relevant, is cumulative to other testimony, or is otherwise inappropriate. At the close of testimony against the applicant, the presiding officer asks the applicant, is there anything else you wish to be reflected in the record? We are ready for staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and councilors. Resolution 2011-23 is a request for an encroachment permit for a covered porch located at 202 West Gila Street. The applicant owns the house, of which the newly constructed covered porch is encroaching approximately 68 square feet into the Gila Street right-of-way. The applicant is requesting the encroachment permit because the covered porch was added to protect the house from further damage from water entering the house. An encroachment permit authorizes the applicant to encroach upon the public right-of-way with a building or structure under certain conditions. On November 22, 2005, an encroachment permit for the existing house, fence, and wall at the same address that encroached 694 square feet into the Gila Street right-of-way was granted by the Town Council. The applicants were then owners Henry and Nellie Quintero, who requested the encroachment permit because they had recently acquired the property from family and wanted to clear the title before seeking permits for improvements, making improvements, or selling the property. One of the conditions of that earlier encroachment permit was that no further encroachments shall occur. There are other homes in the neighborhood that are encroaching in the town's right-of-way because they were built before any regulations were in existence. The town of Silver City has no foreseeable plans to install sidewalks in the Gila Street neighborhood. Citizen Participation Ordinance 1045 was not applicable in this case because a public hearing was not required before the Planning and Zoning Commission. But the Community Development Department sent notification letters to all property owners within 300 feet of the subject site and received 2 letters in reply. Property owners Solomon Morris Limited Company and Tom and Deb Manning wrote that they have no problem with the request and feel that Mr. Quintana has done a wonderful job in fixing the house, cleaning the lot, and has made the neighborhood better. The Utilities, Fire, Public Works, and Engineering departments reviewed the request and do not foresee any problems with approving the encroachment permit. The Meters and Code Enforcement departments both commented that access to the utility meter must remain clear. As none of the town departments and no neighboring property owners had any objection to the request, and as the town has no foreseeable plans to install sidewalks in the Gila Street neighborhood, and as the town can require the roofed porch to be removed from the encroachment area with 90-day notice if necessary, the Community Development Department recommends adoption of Resolution 2011-23 approving the encroachment permit for Gila Street with the following findings. Number 1, the requested permit conforms to the town's comprehensive plan, the land use code, and any relevant policies adopted by the town. Number 2, the proposed encroachment does not endanger the health, safety, or general welfare of the community. Number 3, the proposed encroachment is the minimum necessary to make reasonable use of the applicant's property. There are 3 conditions. 1, access to utility meter must remain clear. 2, no further encroachments shall occur. And 3, the town can require removal of the encroaching portions of the structures after a 90-day notice to the owners.
Is that it? Mr. Quintana, you may present your case.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, and staff. Purpose of being here is to request for an encroachment permit. I modified the structure, which is a porch at 202 Gila Street, Lot 1 and 3, Block 10, Fraser Addition, on the south side of the Gila Street. The porch is to protect the entry door, which is a 36-inch door, the entrance. Also, to protect the foundation to the cellar due to any flooding in the area. And we had just showed you the pictures. The size of the porch is, I think, from the ground to the fascia was 8 feet in height, and then it was a 9 by 7 feet by 6 inches. From curb to wall is 18 inches from the wall, from the structure. And then I also observed that there's quite a few structures in the neighborhood on this on the street columns in the streets. And that's all I've got to say. Any questions?
You mentioned you had an issue with water going in the structure.
Yes, before I built the sidewalk, it was all nothing but dirt and grass, and it would go into the foundation of the cellar, and so I decided to dig it out and put a sidewalk on the site, which is protecting a lot, and within time I'm going to put some rain gutters all the way around and to issue the water to one of the sides of to the sides of the house.
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant? Any witnesses in support of the application? Does that conclude your case?
Yes, thank you.
Are there any witnesses in opposition to the application? Are there any questions for any other witnesses by the board?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Mr. Quintana, is there anything else you wish to be reflected in the record?
That's it, Mr. Mayor.
Did that get picked up? Can I get you to come up and just repeat that? I just got to make sure it's in the record.
Yes, Your Mayor.
Is there anything else you wish to be reflected in the record?
No, Your Mayor.
Thank you. Does any member of the hearing board have any questions for any witness?
No, sir.
I have a question.
Councilor Thompson.
I'm assuming that that this area isn't planned. It's the land. Question is to community development. I'm assuming that there's no plans for sidewalk to be there because structurally it's impossible. So.
Mr. Mayor, if I may answer that. As you can see on the slide, the property just to the west only offers about 1 or 2 feet between the back of the curb and the side of the building. That building is probably encroaching the right-of-way also. So to put a sidewalk in there would require substantial changes to the physical structure of the neighborhood, or perhaps narrowing the street or something. So there are no immediate plans that I know of for that area, and to make those plans happen would require substantial adjustments to the homes in that area. So it was our feeling that there was no problem in supporting an encroachment at this site, especially since any encroachment can be required to be removed within 90 days' notice from the town.
Thank you. Any other questions for any other witness? Is the hearing board prepared to consider this application and render its decision?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor.
I move to approve resolution number 2011-23, a request for an encroachment permit for a covered porch that encroaches into the Gila Street right-of-way. The property is described as lots 1 and 3, block 10 of the Fraser's addition, and is addressed as 202 Gila Street. The applicant is Mario Quintana. Under the findings of 2, the proposed encroachment does not endanger the health, safety, or general welfare of the community. Oh, I'm sorry, under the conditions also. A, no further encroachment shall occur. And B, the town may require removal of all or part of any encroaching structures or use after a 90 days written notice to the property owners. C, the water meter must be accessible.
Is there a second?
Mr. Mayor, I second that motion as stated.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
No.
There's a motion and a second, no further discussion to approve resolution number 2011-23, a request for an encroachment permit for a covered porch that encroaches into Gila Street right-of-way. The property is described as lots 1 and 3, block 10 of the Fraser Addition, and is addressed as 202 Gila Street. The applicant is Mario Quintana, with the following provisions as listed on the resolution and published. And finding number 2, the proposed encroachment does not endanger the health, safety, or general welfare of the community. Roll call, please.
Councilor Rose?
Aye.
Councilor Ray?
Aye.
Councilor Thompson?
Aye.
Councilor Ray?
Aye.
Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is approval, disapproval of ordinance number 1179, an ordinance amending municipal code chapter 52 utilities by adding a new section 5275 septage and grease waste rates and charges. This is a final reading of this ordinance. Mr. Brown.
Mayor and Council, staff's recommendation to pass the ordinance. The only problem is that the appendix wasn't changed. It's still 25 hundredths of a cent per gallon, and we want 2.5 cents per gallon. So that needs to be changed. And then I also wanted to, at the original meeting, I stated that based on our calculations that the revenues generated would be approximately $18,000 to $19,000, and actually that was based on 2008 figures. Robert was able to update the numbers to actual 2010 numbers, and based on what was received at the plant, it would generate $28,000.
Any comments from the public? Any comments from the council?
No. Mr. Mayor?
Councilor Besson.
I move that we approve ordinance number 1179, an ordinance amending municipal code chapter 52 utilities by adding a new section 52-75 septage and grease waste rates and charges, with the change to appendix A on number 2 and number 3 to state 2.5 cents.
Is there a second?
Mr. Mayor.
Councilor.
I second.
There's a motion and a second to approve ordinance 1179 as presented with the correction of the appendix A being 2.5 cents. Any discussion? There's a motion, a second, and no further discussion. Roll call, please.
Councilor Benson?
Aye.
Councilor Thompson?
Aye.
Councilor Ray?
Aye.
Councilor Rose?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is approval, disapproval of bid 11/12-1 Penny Park reconstruction. Mr. Brown.
Mayor and Council, the town received 2 bids for bid 11-12-1 Penny Park reconstruction. Due to the second fire at Penny Park, it's staff's recommendation that we would reject all bids to allow us to address the construction of the entire park, rather than this one piece that actually wouldn't be able to be constructed because part of the area that it was supposed to connect to is burned too. So we couldn't, this bid wouldn't be workable itself.
Comments from the public? Line up at the podium.
Mr. Mayor, Council, my name is Nick Seibel, and although I am the Silver City Main Street Project Manager, I do not speak to you tonight as the Main Street Manager, rather just as a citizen of this community. And I've sort of got roped myself into this Penny Park effort over these last couple of weeks. It's been a tough couple of weeks for this community, and in the course of my daily business, I talked to an awful lot of people, and for about a week, every conversation I had, it seemed like, revolved around our community-built park and the real tragedy of it burning. And sort of the resounding message that I heard in those conversations sort of surprised me. Although you heard a lot of bitterness and you heard a lot of anger, there were a lot of folks that said, we've got to do this again. For me personally, that community-built park is a symbol of what this community can achieve when we work together. We can really do something great. And I would hate for the final message of that park to be that we can't do anything nice as a community because it ultimately goes away. To me, this is an opportunity like the Phoenix. We can rise from the ashes as a community, and we can undertake that process again and build a new park. And you'd say maybe a better park. And so I stand before you all tonight. I know that this park belongs to this town. The property belongs to the town, the physical park. That insurance settlement belongs to the town, and money that has been raised and will be raised in the future, that park belongs to this town government as well. And so on behalf of my fellow instigators, I'd like to ask you to consider allowing a new public process. That we don't rebuild the park, but rather build a new park on that site. Because I think the benefits to this community of allowing that process to happen will be tremendous. And it would be a real shame to let this opportunity pass, and a real shame to let a gift like this to future generations of Silver City people pass us by. I know there's some other folks that want to speak, so I'll yield the microphone, but thank you for your time, and I look forward to working with you to make this thing happen.
Susan Allman, Silver City, Mr. Mayor and council members and Silver City residents. I would say the park belongs to the children of Silver City, built by the interested citizens, adults who are investing in our futures by providing for our children. And I would like to make a few suggestions as far as bids, rebuilding, etc., safety, security. I would suggest that we built in security cameras, motion sensor lights, and maybe have a patrol. And as far as the bids go, I would suggest that they built in a facility or whatever so it can be solar, it will pay for itself. And like Mr. Seibel said, we're not going to yield. We'll rebuild it. It'll be bigger, better, less arsenic contaminated, whatever. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is William Bowen. I'm in a local band, and I'm here to sort of propose to you our idea to help out with rebuilding or building a new park where Penny Park was, because I think Penny Park was a big, the heart of the community. It was a big symbol of the unity of the community, and like Nick said, what we can do when we all work together. So we had an idea that we could put together a benefit concert with a bunch of local musicians, bands and stuff, and I've already spoken with several, and they all seemed into it, like they wanted to do this and help rebuild Penny Park as a community. And that's basically all I have.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any comments, questions from the council? Can I entertain a motion regarding this bid 11/12-1?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilor Morose.
we're supposed to do this in the affirmative, so I'm going to move to approve bid 11-20-1 Penny Park reconstruction, and staff's recommendation there attached.
12 or 20?
Pardon? 11-12-1.
Is there a second?
I second the motion as stated.
There's a motion to approve bid 11/12-1. Any comments? Just so the council knows, by voting yes, you're saying we're going to go with this bid. By voting no, you're saying we're going to accept staff recommendation and reject all bids. Got it?
Yep.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed signify by saying no.
No.
Motion fails. All bids are rejected. Next item on the agenda is approval, disapproval of resolution number 2011-25, participation in local government road fund program administered by New Mexico Department of Transportation.
I'll have Peter come up, but basically this is our annual resolution for our co-op project. This is a continuation. This is phase 2 of the Cactus Street sidewalk projects. And if you have any questions for Peter, he can answer.
Mayor, Council, what this resolution will do is let us enter into a cooperative agreement with the New Mexico Department of Transportation. And as Mr. Brown was saying, it's for a continuation. It's phase 2 for sidewalk, curb and gutter, and handicap improvements on Cactus Street. The section we'll be looking at is between 22nd and 24th Street. The last time what we did was between 24th and 25th. We're working our way north to south on this project. What this will do with this agreement will fund the funded proportional share will be $75-25, and it's a total of $59,343. Our portion will be $14,836.
Councilor Bez.
Mr. Pena, I just thank you for this because I know the residents of Cactus Street, which happens to be in my district, are looking forward to having their sidewalks revamped and with the intersection, with the ADA ramps and all those sorts of things. I do have one question. I don't know if I should direct it to you or to Mr. Brown. Is this also something that was originally on the ICIP?
Yes.
That's what I thought, and I couldn't remember the rank of it, but
Yes, it was.
Great.
Just a little bit of background. If you do remember, we did have the first phase.
Right.
It's when we had those budget crunches from the state.
Right.
And what they did is they cut a large portion of that funding from the first phase. So we've had to phase this out a couple of times. So there may even be another phase down the road.
Going further
Continue
south.
Right.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And along with that, we are working on a paving master plan, which includes the conditions of sidewalks, where we have sidewalks, where we need sidewalks, and handicap ramps, bicycle, all those types of things. That plan is an engineered plan, and inventory is being taken right now so that we can better identify priorities for these types of upgrades to current infrastructure as well.
Any questions? Questions from the audience? Any questions from the council? Entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve resolution number 2011-25, participation in local government road fund program administered by the New Mexico Department of Transportation.
Is there a second?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to second that.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? There's a motion and a second. No further discussion to approve resolution 2011-25, participation in local government road fund program administered by New Mexico Department of Transportation. Roll call, please.
Councilor Benson?
Aye.
Councilor Thompson?
Aye.
Councilor Ray?
Aye.
Councilor Morales?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks. Next on the agenda is approval, disapproval of Resolution 2011-26, ratifying a certain agreement between the town and Southwest New Mexico Council of Governments for fiscal year 2011-12. Mr. Brown.
Mayor and Council, this is the annual resolution required to continue our participation in with the Council of Governments and identify our designated member as well as the alternate, and our annual fee for all the help that they do give us, which is substantial.
And our members and alternates currently are?
I am the Vice Chair of the Council of Governments, so I am the designee. I have been the designee, and Councilor Medicine is the alternate.
Thank you. Any comments?
We need a second alternate, too.
Yeah, that was good.
Oh, we need a second alternate as well. Now,
Isn't it?
that's a new thing, I guess.
I think it was Peter Pena last time.
Oh, you know what? It's actually a good idea. I'm the designee. Councilor Bedison was the first alternate, and the second alternate, I'd recommend Peter Pena because he is actually the chair of the RPO. I want to keep him involved. It's really good to have the chair and the vice chair of the deciding committees.
Okay. Any discussion?
No.
Sir, would you like to make a motion?
Yes. Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve resolution number 2011-26, ratifying a certain agreement between the town and Southwest New Mexico Council of Governments for fiscal year 2011-2012, with the designee being Mr. Alex Brown, alternate 1, Councilor Cynthia Ann Bedison, and Peter Pena as alternate 2.
Mr. Mayor, I second that motion as stated.
There's a motion and a second to approve as discussed. Any discussion? There's a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2011-26, ratifying a certain agreement between the town and Southwest New Mexico Council of Governments for fiscal year 2011-12, and designating Mr. Brown as the designee and Councilor Bedison as first alternate and Mr. Pena as the second alternate. And roll call, please.
Councilor Medicine?
Aye.
Councilor Thompson?
Aye.
Councilor Ray?
Aye.
Councilor Morales?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. I did not get your email from today put on my computer, so I don't know the name of this next one.
Okay.
Got it. Next item on the agenda is appointment of one member to the Recycling Advisory Committee, and we did speak with the chair of the Recycling Advisory Committee, and he recommended appointment of Jane Reiger, and I concur, and I would like to have council consensus to appoint Jane Reiger.
Agree.
Agreed. Thank you. Appointment. Entertain a motion.
Mayor, just for information on the recycling, as you know, when we approved the recycling contract with the Southwest Solid Waste Authority, it was discussed that there was no use for the glass. Today, we did actually find a local contractor that's willing to crush the glass and use it in their base course. So If that
Just a question, but I watched the recycling truck today. Because we've gone to single stream recycling, could we also go to an automated pickup?
That is the long-term goal, because as we replace our vehicles, because of the large capital expenditures of buying the side loaders and type things like that, what we were thinking of doing within time was being able to sell our side loaders to the Solid Waste Authority, and all they would have to do would be purchase the containers, and we could go to that system.
I did some reading, and there's some communities that are using the roll-away carts like our trash are seeing success with recycling using the same equipment.
Yeah, and that's what we're thinking of doing, and hopefully within time. But right now we're catching up with our own stuff, and once we can get up that, because we are replacing our equipment on a more timely basis, and our equipment is still in good condition, we can get that equipment to the Solid Waste Authority at a reasonable price for the authority itself, and they could go to the side loaders like we're doing, which would help the Solid Waste Authority offer curbside recycling to the mining district as well as Silver City, because it would be less time consuming, so much less labor intensive and time consuming, and that is the hope.
Thanks. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adjourn.
There's a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned.